Welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report. I'm Ryan Mayer, sitting with head coach Kristina Hernandez, the coach of the Hofstra Volleyball team. Coach, your team starts out pretty well. You get a match canceled, but you guys still go 3-0 over the weekend since the last time we talked. Just first off, what did you see in all three matches from your teams that really allowed them to go out and pick up those three victories?
I think our offense is, working pretty well right now. We're passing the ball really well. So that's definitely one of our strong points. So I definitely think that helped us, get through the weekend.
Now, in the first match, it seemed like it was a little bit of back and forth, kind of shaking off the rust a little bit. It's a 3-2 victory over Radford, but you guys still do come away with the victory on Friday in the A6 Invitational. What was going through your head as you were getting down a little bit in that match to try and talk your team up a little bit and get their confidence back up so they can come out and pull out those last couple of sets?
Radford was doing a really good job of not making a lot of errors, which had to force us to do the same. We were having a lot of serving errors kind of back-to-back and in sets kind of by themselves. So we really tried to kind of focus on that towards the end of the, in the fourth and the fifth set, and they did a really good job with kind of tailoring that a little bit, and it definitely gave us a chance to kind of finish on top. But I think that first set we just had a lot of unforced errors, with serving errors and just hitting the ball out a lot and trying to get, the feel of what we're doing. But they did enough to help us be successful, and they pulled out in the fifth set. But I think Radford did a really good job because they put pressure on us in order, to make us have to do that. So, in that they did really well. So, it's something that we've been working on. And that we're getting better at with every game, so it will be the difference for us.
Well, you come out immediately the next day and you have to take on Manhattan College, a match that kept getting pushed around a couple of times due to the storm that was coming through Long Island. You go out and you win that one 3-0, a pretty impressive, dominating victory over a local rival. You had to feel pretty good about that one.
We felt good, and we had some really great moments in that game. There were some sets where we were just, you could see how everything was just kind of grooving, and there's these kind of chunks out of every set that it was really how we want to be all of the time. And then we got a little sloppy for some points, maybe 5-6 points, and so that's what we're trying to iron out, because we want to be able to, play consistent for an entire set, especially when we, move further along in our schedule and get into conference. We don't want to do that, but it was a really great victory. Manhattan is a very scrappy team, and they have a lot of fight in them, and I think my team did a really good job of, I think towards the end of every set we were kind of in the 23s and the 22s with Manhattan, and it was really nice to see them to just finish and put the game away and not drag it out and get to a fourth and a fifth set. So that was definitely really nice to see, especially so early in our schedule.
Now, you come into this week's schedule, you take on Siena on Monday at Siena. So a matchup that we saw last year, but they end up coming to the physical education building at Hofstra. Instead, you guys have to go out there this year. You still take a 3-1 victory away. How good was it to see your team go into another team's gym and come away with that victory?
It was nice. We got about a 3-hour bus ride, and then they got ready, and we got to work. Kylie had a great match that game. She was all over the place, and she was definitely kind of set the tone for us defensively. And I saw some things defensively from us that I had wanted to see the previous matches, so I was glad to see that. And Anissa and Erica did really well in those two matches. They really kind of helped us stay in the game a lot. We were passing really well, so we were able to run them a lot, which was really nice to see. And for them to be able to get off a bus, get the win, and then get back on the bus was really nice. It was a good victory, and hopefully we can keep doing the same things as we go into this weekend.
Now, you mentioned Kylie Neha in that match. 25 digs, a fantastic match for her. Also passes 1,000 digs on her career here at Hofstra. She was someone that we talked about last week before the season really got started. How much has she matured coming through these first three matches from the end of last season through the start of this season so far?
She's a completely different player, and you kind of got to watch her to kind of see what we're talking about. She's taking over back there. She's cutting people off. She's moving people around. She's talking to people on serve receive. She's kind of switching things around, and she's doing it on her own. As what we've been wanting her to do is kind of run the back row a little bit. But she's doing it, and she's not hesitating. She doesn't need direction from me because we've worked on this a lot. And She's just kind of all over the place in the back row, and if somebody's not doing real well defensively, she's starting to take over that spot as well. So, there's some days that I just don't know how she gets. But I can't say that I saw her do that the past 2 years. She's a great libero. She has a lot of talent, but she's just elevated her game to a totally different level, and it's very selfless, and she's just doing whatever we need, to get the ball up at this point.
And another returning player that has shined so far through these first 3 matches, Nikki Kinnear, leading the team in kills again with 57 so far through those first 3. Was also the MVP of the A6 Invitational. How has her growth really shown so far this year on the court, and how much is it helped out by the fact that you do have those 3 or 4 other attackers that are able to go up and pose threats to the other team as well?
Nikki, I think her game is different this year just because it's consistent. She's the same type of player. She's very athletic. She's got a great arm, and she's very smart and can do a lot of things. But I think last year she wasn't really too consistent with it, so she'd have great games and not so great games. And now she's just getting out there and she's getting the job done every set. She's putting up her numbers, and she's somebody that we can rely on right now, and who Catalina knows that she can give the ball to if we need to score the point. So I think that's just the only way that she's changed, is she's definitely more of a mature player, and she's confident in what she's doing. So we're seeing her put up consistent numbers, which is something that we really need. And it's nice to have a few players that can put numbers up for us, because when I think Sienna, it took our outsides a little bit to get warmed up the first 2 sets, but our middles were doing a really great job, and Erica and Anissa were our offense then. And Radford Taylor had a great match. She had some really crucial swings in the 5th set, and nothing else was working, so she was able to do that for us. And I think that's what we're trying to get them to do. Is there are some games where we just don't want to rely on one person. It's going to take some hitters a couple of points, swings here and there to kind of figure out what's going to work for them versus our opponents. So if we can spread the ball out and get somebody else to get in there and kind of get us warmed up, it's going to help us be really successful. So I think so far, we've done really well with that, and I think if we can get everybody consistent now, then we can start winning some really big games, and I'm interested to kind of see how that develops over the next couple of weeks.
Now, some of the newcomers as well also contributing as part of that consistency on the team so far. Kelsey Wills has come out and had 3 consecutive double-doubles through the first 3 matches. Second on the team in kills behind Nikki Kinnear, 34 on the year. I know you mentioned her last week when I asked you who was going to step up in that other outside hitter role. She's done a great job so far. What have you seen from her in terms of her maturity level that has allowed her to adapt so quickly to the style of play that you guys are playing here?
Kelsey kind of fits in really well. She's really fast. So offensively, she kind of fits into what we want to do. I think she got a little shaky start versus Radford. It took her a little bit just to kind of get the nerves out, but she's really strong. She's very physical. I think she can put up bigger numbers than what she's doing right now, so that's really nice to think about. But I think being able to have 2 outsides that are producing on a nightly basis is going to be a really big strength of ours. Not just having to rely on one, so when we play teams, they don't just kind of set up a big block on one of our outsides and then we're kind of shut down everywhere else. So I think that will end up playing to our advantage, hopefully, especially when we get into conference. So, if we can continue to kind of make sure that she gets in there and gets in the offense and keep doing what she does, and it will just add to kind of the versatility of our offense. So far, she's doing a really good job with that, and I think we're going to see a lot more of her gradually throughout the season.
Now, the player feeding the ball to all of these attackers so far, Catalina Cherry, has done a fantastic job, 145 assists through those first 3 matches. Seems that she's gotten that connection down now with the attackers, and especially with people like Nikki Kinnear, who is coming back from last season. Has that connection really just continued to improve throughout practice? Is that what you guys have seen so far as you've progressed throughout the first couple of matches here?
Definitely. Catalina is a very smart setter, and she looks at opponents' blocks, and she will make decisions probably without me most of the time, which is a good thing. But I think she really knows how to play to all of our attackers' strengths. And like I said, Kelsey and Nikki are really fast, so she wants to feed them faster. So we're trying to get it faster right now. But she definitely is really smart. She knows what's working for us and not. And She kind of knows how to expose other people's blocks, and I think Manhattan, she did a really good job because our huts were working really well. Our fast outsides were working really well with Nikki and Kelsey, so she just kept feeding it, and it really just kind of helped us put the game away. So, she's a leader in that sense because she recognizes what we need to do, and she knows how we need to score a point, so she's going to make those decisions, and she doesn't hesitate, so that makes her really great at what she does. And, she is very tough on herself. She wants to make sure that every set is perfect, and if she's not, that she wants to do it again. So, I think it's nice to have a setter like that, but she definitely kind of runs things out there.
Well, something that definitely has to be helping her is your serve receive so far. You talked about it being a little bit shaky in the Radford match, but since then, a pretty solid serve receive core coming back and getting those passes to her in the spots that she needs them in order to make those sets. What have you seen from your teams in terms of passing, an area which was a little bit tough for you guys last year? You're able to really pick it up so far through these first 3 matches.
I think Kelsey's done a really good job because she has definitely, made her place in one of our primary passers. So having Kelsey, Nikki, and Kylie pass for us all the time, and Nikki and Kylie are already very consistent and comfortable back there, and they kind of popped Kelsey in, and she's really stepped up, and she's making sure that she's doing her job too. But having 3 primary passers that are very solid and consistent with what they do makes it a lot easier to run our offense. And when we've got some strong attackers, it's a priority for us to pass the ball. So we spend a lot of time on that, and they know what the standard is and what our number is and how well we need to be doing that. So they hold themselves to that. And I think, like I said, it will help us be really successful with what we want to do and kind of get better at our first ball kill. Which was gotten a little bit better, especially versus Manhattan. I saw a lot of it. We're siding out a lot better off of the serve receive. So that's definitely going to be a really strong area for us. So I'm happy to see that very early on. But it's it's something that we really need to kind of stay on and make sure that it stays there.
Now, in terms of the block as well, you guys have put up a very solid block along that front line. How much is that speed and quickness of a Kelsey Wills, of Anissa Whitney being back in that middle, being able to get out onto the outside and put up that double block? How much has that helped you in this year so far to be able to get those blocking numbers up?
I think Anissa and Erica have really helped us in that, and they kind of set the tone. They're very experienced middles. They read really well. They watch the setter. They set up the block right, and we've got some big pin players, Kelsey and Nikki and Taylor, and I think that they're just big up there. And Anissa and Erica do a really good job of making sure that the blocks are closed and getting where they need to and really staying on the middle. So that's definitely really helped us out. I think Erica has done a really great job. Just in kind of setting the tone of what we want to do blocking wise. We've still got a lot of things to clean up on that area, especially on the pins, but I think Anissa and Erica are definitely really nice to have because it sets a really solid foundation for what our blocking can be.
Now, Coach, let's move forward to this weekend. Now you have the second of those 2 tournaments that you guys set up at the top of your schedule here at home, the Hofstra Invitational this time. You will be taking on St. Francis along with Princeton. So what are you looking for this weekend, and how do you scout those teams? Because you have had the opportunity now to get a little bit of tape as to what they look like this year so far.
Now I think we just want to play to our strengths. We're watching film on these teams, and I think we want to be able to play these teams and really work to our strengths, what we can do offensively to kind of break these teams down. So, but we also have been working a lot on our serving. We had a lot of serving errors in the first tournament, and we really want to be able to serve aggressively and consistent, so we've been working a lot on that. But so I think this weekend we just want to see things a lot smoother. Offensively we want to play at that consistent level, and we don't want to have like this lull of chunk where we're just not hitting the ball and we're hitting in the net. And but I think the main thing for us is just going to be how consistent and aggressively we can serve. I think that will be a lot different. That will really change our game from what we did last weekend. Princeton and Fairfield, they're really tough teams, and I'm excited to play them. And St. Francis is really scrappy, and they're all over the place defensively. So I think it'll be a challenge for us. I think every game that we're playing right now is going to be tougher and tougher, which is what we've been talking to them about. So we want to get better every single match, and that's kind of what we want to see.
Now, this weekend, obviously, with St. Francis and Fairfield and Princeton coming down here, you talked about the serving a little bit and some of the errors you've seen. Has anybody really stepped up into that Jenna Cannell type role from last season, who's more of a specialist server that you can throw in there and say, hey, we really need this point. We need you to go out there and put a tough serve on these guys so that they either pass it out of bounds or pass it poorly and we're able to get a free ball back.
We put Katie in and Sienna when Kelsey was kind of missing her serve a lot. So I think that you'll be able to see her a little bit more. She's got a really strong, straight float serve, and she serves the sidelines really well. And she puts a lot of pressures on serve receive passers to kind of be able to move off to the side and move laterally. So, I think she's somebody that we're going to be able to use now and kind of pop in when our outsides aren't really serving well, or we need a really aggressive serve towards the end of the match. And, she did that for us last year a bit. So I think now we're just going to be able to use her and do that for us. But she's definitely somebody who I know that I can call off of the bench, and she's going to put a serve in for us, and it's going to be really strong.
Now, Coach, when you have two matches in one day, like this weekend, for instance, when you have St. Francis and Fairfield in the same day, how does that really help your conditioning in terms of moving throughout the rest of the year, where once you get into the CAA slate, you're going to have those 2 matches a week. They're going to be spread out a little bit further, but you're still going to have those 2 matches a week, so you got to kind of get your legs under you a little bit. How does that help out?
It definitely will, and like you said, it kind of conditions us for when we get to conference and we've got to play night back to back, or we've got a day off in between. But just being able to be able to do the same things 2 games in a day will definitely help us down the road, because we'll be able to play 1 game and then kind of take a little time off and then get back to it. And I think if we are able to do the same things twice on a day, then it definitely will build some confidence with what we're able to do when we have double conference matches. But I think the most important thing is we want them to focus on 1 game at a time. So we're just preparing for St. Francis right now. And then when we're done with that, then we'll get them ready for Fairfield, even though it is, so it's such a quick turnaround. But I think right now we just want them to get to focus on 1 game at a time and not kind of think of the overall, because we don't want to rush through any opponent. We really want to take our time with everybody and make sure that we're prepared.
So, Coach, what do you have to do this weekend in order to take the title at the Hofstra Invitational and come away with maybe those 3 victories this weekend?
Offensively, I think we need to keep doing the same things. I think we need to see a lot from our outsides, get our middles in there. I think we want to see a little bit more from Taylor. She had a great first match for us, and then it kind of, we weren't really feeding the right side so much. So we're working on that right now during practice, and we've got to keep passing the ball. But I think the big thing for us, and what will be the difference between winning some really big matches, is going to be our serving. We always tell them that serving is going to win championships for us, so that has really been a lot of focus. We spent a lot of time on that yesterday, and we will for the next 2 days as well before we get ready.
All right. Head Coach Kristina Hernandez, thank you so much for joining me inside the WB Mason Coaches Report.